Welcome to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Hello again, fellow anglers, and welcome back to the second week of the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. I'm Brie Gabrielle, along with Captain Rick Murphy. And Rick, we had an awesome first show last week, but this week's going to be even better. Do you want to know why?
Why?
Well, we were talking all about Snook, and you were making fun of me last week because you thought everything was my favorite, but Snook really is my favorite to release because I just love when you put them back and they suck on my thumb and you get Snook thumb. It's so great.
They do that.
I love that.
I'm so glad that you recognize that.
Of course.
But you know, before we introduce our guest at the workbench,
yes,
did you know that tonight is the 262nd episode of the Fishing Report being filmed since 2004, Brie?
No, I had no idea.
It's your second. It's my 262nd, so you know what? We need to introduce the guy at the workbench.
I think that sounds great. Dave Farrell is out today, but luckily we have Harry Vernon from Captain Harry's Fishing Supplies stepping in. Hey, Harry, thanks for being with us this week.
Great to be back here again, doing this. You know, happy to be a sponsor again for the Southeast region. So appreciate you guys letting me do that. And I've got some great trolling techniques here on snook trolling that I'm going to give up. And if I keep sipping on this spice stuff over here,
put it down.
I might be giving it all
down.
up over here. But it's some good stuff. But I got some great deals on showing you, showing everybody how to do some snook trolling tonight.
Cool.
All right, well, I'm looking forward to getting over there to the workbench, Brie and Harry.
Me too.
But you know, Brie, let's talk a little bit about snook. So let's take a look at the photos from the Sports Fishing Magazine's photos. And as you know, the snook is easily identified by the black lateral line, as well as the big lip that they have. So if we look at the second photo here, it's also a fish that we catch a lot around structure. So with that being said, I want to tell you a little bit more that I know about snook. So let's take a look at this particular snook that King Sailfish has given us. But you know, Brie, in Florida, there are 6 different types of snook. There's the common snook, which is the biggest snook. The all-tackle world record is 53 pounds, 10 ounces. There's the fat snook, the sword spine snook, and then the tarpon snook. But the biggest snook ever caught in Florida was in Fort Myers, 1984. It was a 44-pound, 3-ounce fish. It's the biggest fish ever taken in Florida. Now, let's talk a little bit about what makes snook so special. They're very freshwater and saltwater oriented, which means they'll go from an inlet where the saltwater meets the ocean all the way up a river to actually get some fresh water. The whole key to them is what they love to eat. They love brackish lagoons. They love fishing, being around freshwater islands. And then their lower jaw, as we said, is certainly easily distinguished. But their diet: shrimp, pinfish, mullet, crabs, and pilchards, Brie. So that's what you got to have if you decide to go catch a snook.
That sounds good. I would love to go catch and release my snook.
All right.
To kick off the night, we are starting over in the East region with Mike Holliday. Seeing as this is my region too, Mike, why don't you tell the viewers about the snook biting secret so we can go catch some of that snook thumb I love so much?
Let's do that. We need to get out and do that real soon.
We
Brie.
do.
Well, the key for snook fishing in my region is the arrival of the silver mullet, and they're just pouring through the inlets right now. The snook are coming out of the rivers, working towards the inlets for the summer spawn. So for like the next 2 months, those fish are going to be focused completely on eating mullet on the seawalls, around the bridges, in the deeper cuts in the flats, and also around the inlets. In Palm Beach County, the Ermine River and Lake Worth spillways are going to hold a lot of fish, as will the Loxahatchee River up around Perry Como's old house. In Martin County, the Roosevelt Bridge, Palm City Bay, the Jensen Causeway will all see good concentrations of mullet and good concentrations of fish. And then up in Fort Pierce, it's prime time for fishing Taylor Creek, the Turning Basin, the Coast Guard Station, and North Bridge. The best bites have been at night and also right at dawn. If the snook are eating mullet, throw live mullet. Throw mullet-shaped plugs, swimming plugs, bass assassin dye dappers, topwater plugs, anything that looks like a mullet. You'll also do well on the outgoing tides with a live shrimp or a live pinfish or a pilchard or threadfin. You can fish the shrimp on a 1/4 ounce or 3/8 ounce hook-up jig head. Fish the live baits on 3/0 to 5/0 VMC circle hooks, depending on the size of the bait. And, usually a 40-pound leader. Average snook in my region is going to be 24 to 34 inches. A lot of slot fish this month. Last week I was out, just to give you an idea of slot fish, I was out fishing a Pathfinder 2300 HPS, testing it for Maverick Boat Company, and I took George Spinella along with me, and we saw some mullet busting on the seawall. He threw that topwater plug, caught that slot snook on it. So that's the game that's going on right now.
All right, Mike, before we talk about pompano in your region, I'm going to go ahead and look at the Navionics. And what you picked this week was the Fort Pierce Inlet. So, guys, here's one of the things that Mike was telling me when we were talking about Fort Pierce Inlet. The key to this place is to make sure that you understand that the turning basin is one of the key points that he talked about. Now, because the turning basin is deep in water, you're going to want to use maybe a pinfish on some type of knocker rig or even a jig head all along these different shorelines here. The reason why is certainly because, guys, that the mullet are going to be following that. Now, as the mullet migrate up and down the intercoastal, here it's referred to Taylor Creek. As the water comes and goes inside of Taylor Creek, the mullet go in there. This bar right here is certainly a place where you can throw topwater plugs early in the morning, as well as a variety of different types of plugs. Now, when the tide changes and starts to go out, you're going to want to move back out and get right here by the Coast Guard on the outgoing tide, the Coast Guard station. And with that being said, you really know some great spots up there in the Fort Pierce, Vero Beach area. All right, Mike, go ahead and tell us about the pompano and what else is happening inshore.
Well, we're on the tail end of the pompano run, but this is the time of the year when those fish work their way north, tight along the beaches. What's nice about that is that the fish are really close to shore, often like right in the trough at your feet. So you don't need those 14-foot rods to reach the outer sandbars just to catch a pompano. The hot spot for the last 3 weeks has been Jupiter Island, including Hope Sound Public Beach. But there's been fish caught all the way from Double Roads in Jupiter all the way up to Pepper Park in Fort Pierce. So my whole region has fish. There are also catching some fish on the inside in the St. Lucie River around Willoughby Creek and Hell's Gate, and in the Indian River on the east side of the channel just north of Fort Pierce. Live or frozen sand fleas, shrimp, clams, or a hookup jig, pompano jig, they're all good ways to go. Expect to catch a lot of whitings and croaker if you're going to fish the surf as well. And it seems like there's a good bite in the surf right at dawn, and then during the daytime you get the bites as the schools come through. Average pompano in my region is going to be 1 to 2 pounds, and it's going to go on for about 2 more weeks.
All right, let's go offshore, bud.
Well, the dolphin bite doesn't have any rhyme or reason right now. The fish are coming from the weed lines as well as from open water, but it does seem like the better action's out deep, say 240 to 800 feet of water. The best fishing's coming on that northerly wind, whether it's northwest like it was yesterday or north or northeast like it was today. That stacks up the weeds in the current and really brings a lot of the larger dolphin in closer to shore to feed. You can troll ballyhoo with a green, an orange, or a blue and white skirt. You can slow troll live baits. If you want to cover water, just pull feathers and strips. Look for anything floating, particularly isolated trees, logs, or other objects. Also watch for birds or flying fish just jumping out of the water for no apparent reason. Keep a pitch bait rigged in case the fish swims within casting distance. And always have, several spinning rods rigged with, with bare hooks that you can put a chunk bait on or jigs for the schoolies. Average dolphin's going to be 5 to 15 pounds. A lot of 20 and 30 pound fish in the mix, and this is when we get to 40 and 50 pounders. The other action, excuse me, I was talking to Captain Bill Taylor on the Black Dog out of Jupiter. He was telling me that an entire new batch of yellowtail and mutton snapper have migrated into the Jupiter area. A lot of the mutton snapper are borderline legal, so you want to measure every fish. Best fishing's been on the outside of the high bar in 75 feet of water using chicken rigs, baited with squid or threadfin herring chunks, or you can throw a jig with a chunk of squid on it. That's for the yellowtails. For the muttons, a long leader and a pilchard or a threadfin's the way to go. There's also a lot of triggerfish and tilefish on the reef right now, so if your bait's down there more than 5 minutes, it's probably been picked off by the smaller fish. Average yellowtail, 1 to 3 pounds. The muttons are 4 to 6 pounds with an occasional 10-pound plus fish in the mix. So snapper fishing's on fire, guys.
All right, Mike, as we do every week, we talk about bass fishing. You think this cooler weather that we just got, is it going to help or hurt the bass fishing?
I think it's going to make it last longer into the day, beats that summer heat that we see. That Stick Marsh Farm 13 Reservoir west of Fellsmere, that's one of those places that it's easy to forget about, but be on that body of water for just one good day of fishing this time of the year, and you'll make it a regular place for your springtime bass fishing. In the last week, there hadn't been a lot of giant fish caught there, but the fish are coming out of the south end of the reservoir, and they're averaging 3 to 5 pounds. That's where you'll find the most grass, and also the culverts with the moving water. Junebug-colored worms, shad-colored crankbaits, that's working along the grass lines. And if you like throwing up on the grass and getting those big blow-ups but from those 3 to 5 pound fish, get that new Bass Assassin Boss Shiner in the Ripper, Electric Shad, or Mama's 14K colors. Remember, you heard it here. That's the hot new bait going on in bass fishing right now, the Bass Assassin Boss Shiner. It's starting to heat up, but with this cooler weather like that, the bite's going all day long. Live shiners are certainly catching the share of the bigger fish as well.
All right, great report from the Bennett East Region. Mike, I'm going to go ahead and get to the Waterway Cafe hotspots from the East Region. Inshore, west bank of the Indian River from Walton Road to Midway Road. Fish the potholes in the grass on the outgoing tide, Bass Assassin drunk monkey colored sea shads. And then offshore, schools of kings and 50 to 80 feet of water from the Juneau Pier to the Blowing Rocks. Live thread fins or dead sardines with a triple hook rig. A lot of the fish are undersized, Brie.
Nobody likes an undersized fish.
Nope.
No.
Hey, now let's talk a little bit about, we've got an event at Marine Supply on April 24th, and certainly, Brie, you and I and Jeffrey are going to be there. It starts at 3 p.m., so we hope to see everybody out there.
That's going to be so much fun. All right, let's go have a chat over in the Southwest region with Captain Ron Houston. Hey, Ron, where are them snookies at?
Well, truthfully, in my region, the snook can be caught in several ways. They can be caught inshore, they can be caught offshore, and they can be caught in the backcountry. Generally, wintertime can be the best time for the backcountry. Early spring into fall, concentrate on beaches, passes, offshore wrecks, bridge patches, and intercoastal docks. Now, live baits to include pilchards, pinfish, shrimp, mullet, herring, and a variety of artificial lures to include walk-the-dog lures, lip plugs 3 to 5 inch, gold spoons, bucktails, and a variety of soft plastic shrimp, 4-inch paddle tails, or 5-inch jerk baits, and also these fish can be caught on flies. And the last couple days before we got this inclement weather coming in, I had the opportunity to get out with the guys from Navionics, and I had a guy by the name of Mike Redling fishing with me. And what we were doing was we were actually doing sonar scans with the 998 Hummingbird. And actually, while we were doing this, you could upload these to get the freshest data. That way the Navionics users can use them to update their charts. While we were out there doing some updating, we also did a little bit of snook fishing. And I've got a picture of Mike Redling with a nice backcountry snook. And I've also got a picture of myself with a nice backcountry snook. This just happened a couple days ago before the blow. We caught several fish. Top water plugs and the 5-inch Bass Assassin white jerk shad was the key, but also working a pattern with the Hummingbird, using the side imaging, looking for logs on low water, but then coming back on high water, drifting along or trolling motoring, and finding these fish sticking out like sore thumbs in the logs. And Brie, I'm sorry, we didn't let these fish suck on our fingers and let them go.
Aww.
We sucked them on our tongues and let them go down our stomach.
Well, that's good too.
All right, Ronnie, what you got for me inshore, bud?
You know, like I said, we've had some inclement weather, but it should be improving here towards the weekend, the next couple days. Right now, the redfish bite, a little further to the north. You want to concentrate on fishing from Tarpon Bay to Key Acosta, and you want to concentrate on fishing on the lower stages of the tide. As you fish the lower stages of the tide, fish the troughs and potholes off the mangrove shoreline. You can use silver and gold spoons, top water plugs, or the 4-inch Bass Assassin sea shad, golden brim in color. Now, as this tide gets higher, you want to use live pinfish or cut mullet and cut ladyfish under the mangroves. Remember, the closer you get these baits to the mangroves, the better. Now, on the offshore scene, like I said, it's been tough. Weather's improving. The red grouper bite's been great from Marco to Fort Myers Beach. The depths you want to concentrate are 85 to 100 feet of water, and you want to concentrate on hard bottom. But also for looking for schools on the bottom finder. Now, you're going to find these schools of bait 15 to 20 feet above the 100-foot depth. These baits should be sardines or cigar minnows. That is going to be the key to catch these fish in them bait schools. Once you locate these fish, you want to use squid or 4 to 6 ounce white glow bucktails depending on the current. So use a white bucktail depending upon the current, and also, if you can, use a glowworm or a white glow curly tail. You can also use live grunts or pinfish. Typical size right now have been 8 to 20 pounds, and I've got an example of a fish that was caught with Jerry Wallstedler and Captain Mike. That's a 30-inch grouper. This guy knows how to catch fish. Look him up. He's been limited out just about every time he goes out. Now, a little further to the north, the king mackerel. Fort Myers Beach to Stump Pass, depth 65 to 85 feet, drifting hard bottom. Now, what guys are really doing is they're drifting to find the groupers, but some fish they're finding right now while drifting for the groupers have been king mackerels up to 20 pounds. What they're doing is, as they're drifting for the groupers, they're trolling silver spoons or free-lining herring and blue runners. Like I said, actually trying to find both species, but the reports seem the king mackerel that are being caught are bigger, further to the north. Keep an eye on the weather. Should be a wonderful weekend.
All right, thanks, Ronnie. Great report from the CCA Southwest region. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Florida Outdoor Experience hotspots from the Southwest region. Inshore, trout. Look at Bird Key to Duck Rocks. In 2 to 4 feet of water, fish grass and potholes using soft plastics under noise-making corks. And then offshore, mangrove snapper, yellowtails, and porgies, Gordon Pass to Sanibel, 75 to 90 feet, using cut squid on a chicken rig.
Chicken rig. All right, when we come back, we'll be going off the deep end with Harry and give you the report from a die-hard fish fan down in Margaritaville. Don't go away. We'll be right back on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Chevy. Find new roads. Best parts, best prices. Bennett Auto Supply. Yeti Coolers. Wildly stronger. Keep ice longer. CCA Florida. The voice of recreational anglers for over 25 years. Contender Boats. Performance through innovation. Humminbird. Simply, clearly, better. And King Sailfish Mounts. www.kingsailfish.com.
The Chevrolet Cruze, loved in 119 countries around the world. Proof we're not so different after all. It's the new world.
Yamaha's next generation V6 4-strokes are changing the game.
Mid-range power was awesome.
Fuel, the burn, it's unbelievable.
Couldn't believe the speed and the fuel economy. It's pretty impressive.
I mean, I couldn't believe the power. It was like it was more like doing a quarter mile on a drag strip.
And them things are like, it's a whole nother game. So I made the switch.
Experience the difference for yourself during the Yamaha Discover V6 Offshore Demo Tour. See why we call it the Game Changer.
It's been said that a bad day of fishing is better than a good day at the office. But down here in the Florida Keys, we have to disagree. Because with over 200 of the world's best charter boat captains and guides, there's no such thing as a bad day of fishing. The Florida Keys and Key West.
Continuing the revolution. Faster, drier, even better built. Designed around Yamaha's latest technology outboards. Still built by the same craftsmen and anglers who launched the Bay Boat Revolution. Whether chasing world records, or time on the water with the family, or anything in between, there's a new Pathfinder model for you. Pathfinder, #1 for a reason, still.
Now it's time to go over the news and notes from the FWC. April 11th through the 13th, we have the Ladies Let's Go Fishing event in South Florida. Also, April 11th through the 13th is the Youth Hog Hunt in Glades County, and April 12th is the Kids Fishing Clinic in Pensacola. For more information and events, you can go to myfwc.com. Now it's time to go off the deep end.
Well, Harry, welcome so much back to the show, 2014. We appreciate you guys being a sponsor, Captain Harry's Fishing Supply. But, you know, over here we talk about rigs and techniques. The thing that I'm so excited about tonight is certainly you're doing something, talking about something that not a lot of guys do.
I do a lot of trolling, Rick. I use, obviously, I've got the shallow running Rapala.
Right.
This is an 18 mag. I use light leader. I use only 40-pound test leader. I only use probably about 4 feet of leader on that. And why I use the shallow lip is because the area that I fish in. The area that I fish in is around some of the smaller bridges that have, you know, shallow water, 6 6 feet deep or less. And I try to get the lure as close as I can to the bottom. I use a big lure to get normally your bigger snook, because that's what everybody obviously wants to catch, are the bigger ones. But it's a lure that just works. If I had a Rapala lure for every snook I caught, I'd have a lot of Rapala lures. That'd be awesome. But what you want to do with this particular thing, and there's a lot of tricks on trolling these plugs, is you want to fish like the water's coming into the bridge.
Right.
You want to fish on the incoming side. So when you're trolling down the length of that bridge,
right,
you want that plug getting as close as you can to that bridge. There's actually a shadow line at night when you're fishing at nighttime, and there's a shadow line. You want to try to get it right on that shadow line. And those snook, tarpon are just sitting there ready to ambush. Right when it gets into that dark, you'll watch them. They'll come up and just blast that baby. And then once you do that, then you're going to need to pull the boat out away from the bridge, so you can continue hopefully fighting the fish where he doesn't run you in there. Now normally you should, when you're trolling bridges and stuff like that, you're going to want to use heavier line to kind of horse the fish out away from the bridge, because they'll take you in. The metal lip, what's great about the metal lips is like fishing government cut or any of your big cut areas where you're going to be wanting. It's a much deeper lure, and you're going to be trolling those ledges where those snook, they love current. They're going to be there. They're waiting for the ambush. And this particular guy here in the deeper waters works phenomenal in the deeper waters.
All right, the thing that I really am hearing here that I really like is that it might not necessarily just be for the guy that fishes out of the boat. What about the guy that wants to fish off the bridges himself?
You can definitely downsize on these guys here, which I've done that many times. A lot of times I'll go ahead and take your surface poppers and throw something like this. Again, it's nighttime and you have a light shining down, so I like using the darker colors. Mm-hmm. And this guy right here, just pop it and it just does its thing, and the snook just loves something that's, especially, depending on the time of year, the mullet, when they're coming through, try to match the hatch,
right,
and it just works phenomenal.
All right, so I see we got actually some type of knocker rig.
This guy here is pretty cool. This is just something that I've used for a little while, and this is great for drifting around rocks and stuff like that. This lead here just literally slides across, and a lot of times your lead will snag and get tangled up. So that little bead and just going across,
it just gives it a little bit.
It just gives a little bit of more of a bump. So when you're drifting, say government cut or haul over any of those areas, there's big boulders, and these things will slide right on over that. And a lot of times they just shake it a couple times,
right,
and they come right off, and you don't hang bottom as well. And then of course you got to use a good BMC or a circle hook,
right?
And we're using mostly pilchards, because that's one bait that they just love to inhale. If not a pilchard, we'll use a big shrimp. And we try to get the hand-picked shrimp, try to get those big guys, so that way after, if you don't fish them slow, you can take them home and eat them.
Welcome back to the show. Nicely done. Now here over at the Jägermeister Hummingbird Workbench.
I'm going to keep hitting some of that spice over there.
I need to take it with me?
I think you might have to.
All right.
Good stuff.
Well, Brie, I got to tell you, we got to get done with the spice over here, so we're going to let you take over and keep the spice going.
You guys. All right, on that note, let's go talk with Captain Randy Tao, where the snook bite is really happening in the Keys region. I hear the snook like to party late down there, huh, Randy?
Hey, fish fans, good evening. We do have snook around the Keys, which are mostly bridge fishing, and we have them in the backcountry. So there's two different ways you can snook fish in the Keys. Now, it really depends on what you like to do. When I was a kid coming to the Keys, I would drive down here and I would fish all night. And the snook fishing around the bridges from Islamorada to Key West is a night thing. A lot of the snook fishing is done at night. A live shrimp, a pinfish, even some topwater plugs work around the bridges sometimes if that's what you want to do. And we've had great success, and this time of year there's certainly plenty of snook around the bridges. Now, the backcountry, that's a little different. You're going to find snook on the flats. You're going to find them around mangrove islands. You're going to fish for them a different way, certainly out of a boat, not so much on land. And it's a whole different way of going to go snook fishing. But the backcountry fishing is probably the most common. Guys go in their skiff, and they may go down a shoreline. They may be on a flat. A hookup jig tipped with a shrimp is a great bait, a live pilchard, a live shrimp, a live pinfish. A lot of live bait in the backcountry is successful with snook fishing. I've got a picture of Captain Stephen Leopold on the charter boat Yabba Dabba. I had him and one of his clients out the other day doing a little backside snook fishing, and he's an offshore guy, so it's kind of fun to get those guys on the other side.
All right, what else you got for me inshore, Randy?
You know, this is the time of year the tarpon show up. It's springtime, and we've got tarpon in the backcountry. We got them close to home, and there's tarpon everywhere. Right now, a lot of the tarpon are around the bridges. You know, it has to deal with the wind and the conditions. We've had a little weather come through, so things have shut down in the backcountry for a few days. But locally, around any of the bridges, you can find a tarpon right now. Live mullet is a good bait to use, and as you get down toward the lower Keys bridges, they like crabs down there a lot better. Now, if you're a fly fisherman, we've had some pretty decent tarpon fishing in the backcountry with the fly rod, and it's a little bit early to find those big schools swimming down the outside, migrating to the south. But any day, a lot of that ocean fishing is going to start, and maybe after this little front we've had, things are going to spark up a little bit. I've got a photo of Linda Sheldon fishing with me the other day, catching a nice big tarpon that we're letting go right here in Islamorada.
All right, bud, let's go offshore.
You know, we got to talk about mutton snappers, one of my favorite fish. You know, you and I caught these things, and we love catching bottom fish. And the mutton snapper bite, there's a couple ways to do it. Some guys like to be on the reef, anchored up. While you're yellowtailing, you can drop a bait down, a live pinfish, a ballyhoo on a long leader, a pilchard. And a lot of times these mutton snappers will come up into your chum as you're yellowtailing. Now, if you want to target the mutton snappers on some of the deeper holes and wrecks in 150 to 200 feet, you can do that, and live bait is key, and also braided line. You want to have a heavy conventional rod with braided line so you can get down and not have a big belly in the line, so you can feel when you get a bite. I've got a photo of Ralph Shepard from Miami with one of the mini mutton snappers we catch together fishing.
Man, that's a nice, beautiful fish. Man, the only one thing that make that better is that peanut oil at 350 degrees. What else you got for me offshore, Randy?
Dolphin. You know, springtime is tarpon and dolphin. And the dolphin fishing right now, it's not red hot, but it's getting there. A lot of guys are going out and targeting dolphin. They're finding them around weed lines. There's a lot of weeds right now off Islamorada down toward Duck Key and Marathon. And around these weeds, you're going to find a lot of these fish just underneath the weeds. Now, birds are key. You're going to want to look for birds. And once you get in the area, anywhere from 400 feet on out, you want to start trolling and look for these birds working. Now, a working bird is a bird that's not flying at Mach 1 in one direction. Birds that are working, dipping down into the water, picking flying fish as the dolphin push them up. That's your key to a dolphin or a fish that you want to try to catch. And you want to line up with these birds and get underneath them, and you're going to have some nice dolphin, and that's how you do it. The photo I have of Sarah in Captain Skinny is an average-sized dolphin we catch this time of year.
All right, great report from the Florida Keys region, Randy. I'm going to go ahead and get to the La Jolla hotspots. Let's take a look and see what Randy says. Inshore tarpon. Fish live mullet around the bridges in the upper Keys. Use small live blue crabs drifting around the 7 Mile and the Bay of Honda bridges. And then offshore dolphin. Look for the weeds in 400 to 600 feet of water. Start trolling and be patient while you wait to find the working birds. Are you a working bird?
Sometimes.
I think you're a working bird
I'd
right
love
now.
to be a working bird down in the Keys, man.
All right,
be
man.
captain down there. All right, now it's time to tell you about some tournaments in the Florida Keys. The Red Bonnet Large Sunrise to Sunset Tarpon Tournament, scheduled for April 25th through the 27th in Islamorada, features general, spin or plug, and fly divisions. The Pony and Tarpon Tournament, set for April 30th to May 2nd in Marathon, is a 3-evening tournament with teams fishing with different captains each day. The Marathon Offshore Bull and Cow Dolphin Tournament, set for May 1st through the 4th, offers up a $10,000 first prize to the angler catching the largest bull and cow combined, as well as prizes for catching the largest dolphin, wahoo, tuna and tripletail, grouper, and snapper. Lastly, it's the Nick Sheehan Dolphin Rodeo, set for May 2nd to the 4th in Islamorada, and it honors the memory of the Florida Keys student and benefits a namesake community scholarship fund. Among prizes is $25,000 to the angler catching a dolphin that beats the state record. All right, Rick, now it's time to check in with Andy Newman in the Florida Keys.
Hey, Brie and Rick. Listen, big Southwest Championship coming up.
Well, I think we lost Andy, so we'll catch up with that featured tournament next week. It's too bad, but anyway, the show must go on,
Show
as you know.
must go on. All right, coming up next, we are talking snook over in the Central West region, and then double back, see what's happening in the Southeast region. So stay alert. There's much more to come on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventures. Guy Harvey Clothing by Aftco. Croquis, made in the USA. Drummond Community Bank. Costa, see what's out there. And Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
What is CCA? CCA has been representing recreational fishermen for over 25 years, and when your rights to fish are threatened, the CCA is there to make sure government regulators are making sound decisions. I'm a life member of CCA, and when fishery decisions are being made, the CCA in the room is fighting for our recreational rights. We need to give our kids the same opportunities to fish as we did. Do what I did. Go to ccaflorida.org and join for only $25 so you can protect your recreational angling rights.
Hi, I'm Harold Bennett. My dad started Bennett Auto Supply over 57 years ago. Things have changed since then. We've grown to 33 stores and opened a 93,000 square foot distribution center. But one thing has stayed the same, our focus on the customer. That's why we have the most knowledgeable parts specialists in the business, and we only offer quality auto parts at the guaranteed lowest prices. The next time you need anything for your vehicle, think Bennett Auto Supply. Best parts, best prices, Bennett Auto Supply.
A man and his truck, and tofu, and veggie burgers, and raw kale salads. All fine, just not today.
Whatever you do.
Introducing High Country, the premium Silverado. Silverado, 2014 North American Truck of the Year.
Fish Dock, the total saltwater experience, returns to New Smyrna Beach this Memorial Day weekend. Bring the whole gang to Riverside Park for an incredible family experience. Tournaments, boat shows, seminars, kids clinics, chowder cook-off, and the Fish Dock 5K Fun Run. Visit fishdock.com to register for the new Bill Fish Open, the Offshore Striker Tournament, or the Redfish Trout Challenge for your chance to win thousands in cash, prizes, and much more. Fish Dock, Memorial Day weekend in New Smyrna Beach. Don't miss this one.
For weekly reports from our 9 captains and our latest events, make sure to check out our website at the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report.com. You can also like us on Facebook and even send us your fish-tastic photos. Plus, follow us on Instagram at Captain Rick Murphy and Official Insider. Also, while you're on our Facebook page, Rick, make sure to enter our Gear Up and Go Fish giveaway, where one lucky winner and their guest will go on a trip with Rick and I in the Everglades National Park. The winner will also receive Guy Harvey, Aftco, Olokai, and Costa gear. But you can only register on Facebook, so make sure you check that out.
I know.
That's going to be so much fun. All right, let's talk with Captain Jeff Page in the Central West region, who I'm finally going fishing with on Monday. I can't wait for that, Jeff. So why don't you tell everyone what we'll be looking to catch?
All right, well, we're going to have to get Jeffrey on the phone here in a second, but I can tell you in his region, talking about snook, what's really awesome is how well the snook fishing is right now. The pilchards have migrated into his region, and what that basically means, guys, is when those pilchards get in on the grass, it really becomes an epic place. Now, what Captain Jeffrey said basically is that in the Starbright Central West region, it's really, really good. Now, since the freeze in 2010, the season has been reopened, but a lot of anglers are deciding to let those fish go. More importantly, they've all done that together. Now, the way they're catching them right now is there's certainly guys are chumming with live pilchards, AKA greenbacks, AKA whitebait, AKA shiners, AKA candy. Free line these fish on 2 to 3/0 light wired circle hooks, or with a 20 to 35 pound or 25 to 30 pound leader. The live baits really is an awesome category for catching a snook. You can also use pinfish, grunt shrimp, ladyfish, or even a sand brim. They're all very, very effective. Now, if you guys like to throw artificials, you might want to try a Rapala skitter walk. You might want to try a Miro lure She-Dog for surface lures. For subsurface, you might want to try the Rapala Balsa Extreme Minnow. That really seems to cast a long ways, allows you to cover a lot of ground. And then if you're a soft plastic guy, try a 5-inch jerkbait by Bass Assassin. Violet Moon is a really good color right now with a 1/4-ounce chartreuse hookup jig head. Deadly combos. Now Jeffrey says he's got a photo of Captain Justin Moore here with young Trey and Trevor Williams and Ty Cochran with some nice snook as well as a couple of reds. Now, speaking of his second inshore species, he's going to talk about speckled trout. The speckled trout are really, again, because of the pilchards, it really has gone off. They're eating pilchards as well as free-line shrimp on sand holes and broken bottom areas. They're using corks underneath the turtle grass, using those clacking corks to attract those trout. The other thing that he's also doing is if you like to throw artificials, you can try the new Miro Lure Paul Brown Soft Dine in the silver color, works very well as the Saltwater Assassin Elite Shiner in Mama's 14-karat gold pattern. Now, the trout have been getting really big on the higher stages of the tide because it's certainly conducive to have bigger fish when you have more water. So look for those fish on the grass flats or near any of the inlets, like the middle grounds, like New Pass, the Bulkhead Flat near Passage Key Inlet is very good too, and the trout are averaging 16 to 24 inches. Going offshore, red grouper. His offshore report comes from Captain Jason Shearing on the Carl Black Chevy Bad Hat 34 Mongo. Captain Jason reports that there's red groupers in 100 to 110 feet of water over hard bottom and structure, but the bigger fish are holding in 17 to 120 feet of water. He's doing better on frozen sardines than on live baits. He also has a photo here of Captain Jason and his son Jason Jr. with a nice red grouper. Beautiful red grouper there. Great to see these kids out fishing. Now, his last species, offshore amberjacks. Captain Jason also been whacking the big AJs on live blue runners and big hand-sized pinfish. The zip code holding the reef donkeys have been from Venice north to Anna Maria in 140 to 170 feet of water over the wrecks and springs. And Jason suggests to have a flat line or a bottom rig for a big kingfish, possibly Miss Brie. So I'm going to go ahead and that's a great report from the Startron region. We'll have Jeffrey back next week, but we'll go ahead and take a look at the Tires Plus hotspots from the Central West region. Inshore, snook fish the late outgoing tide around the ICW bridges and the docks with live ladyfish or hand-sized sand brim, and better to use some stout tackle to pull those fish from out underneath the docks and the bridges. Offshore, kingfish showing up in 20 to 80 feet of water. Look for the big bait schools on the surface and the muds on the bottom. Troll X-Wrap, spoons, or live threadfins. You know, the beauty of having cell phones is most of the time we can be reached, but then there's times when you're MIA.
That's okay. We'll have a lot to talk about next week because I'm going fishing with him on Monday.
Okay.
Okay.
Take lots of pictures.
I will.
All
okay,
right.
now on to Captain Jimbo Thomas with the Thomas Flyer over in the southeast region. Jimbo, is it true that there are plenty of snookerdoodles to go around down here in the south?
Yes, that's true, Brie, although the way I catch them, you wouldn't believe that, but all the other guys catch a lot of them. But yeah, let's talk some snook. Now, we do find snook in just about every body of water in the southeast region. All the inlets hold big snook, and they can also be found around the jetties, the beaches, the bridges of the intercoastal waterway, docks, piers, mangrove creeks and shorelines, and even in most of the freshwater lakes and canals of the region. Now, the fishing methods and tackle, they do vary depending on the depth of the water, the amount of current, and the type of structure that you're fishing. Now, for most snook fishing applications, light to medium spin or casting tackle with 30 to 50 pound fluorocarbon leader will work. A white bucktail or a hookup jig with a live shrimp or rubber tail, those are pretty common baits, old favorites. And then swimming and surface lures, those all work, as well as all types of live baits such as live shrimp, pinfish, pilchards, etc., mullet, whatever you can get usually works. But when using live baits, be sure to use some circle hooks. I've been speaking with Danny Barrow. He's been finding some nice slot and over slot sized fish, fishing the shadow lines of the bridges of the Intercoastal Waterway from Boca Inlet north to Lake Worth Inlet. Best fishing has been on the top of the incoming tide, and then live mullet has been the best bait when he can find them, as well as live shrimp and topwater lures. Now, the inlets have also been holding some snook, and they've been productive fishing live baits in the evenings and in the early mornings on the last of the incoming tide and the first 2 hours of the outgoing. But as long as you got some current moving, they should bite. Now, they've been doing some dredging and government cut, so I'm sure that all of that commotion, that has the snook running around, so they might be in the normal spots in the government cut area. Now, we got a picture here of Jack Miller from Orange, Virginia, holding a nice 31.5-inch slot-sized snook he caught while fishing a 9-inch mullet along the mangroves in the Snook Islands in Lake Worth Inlet. He was fishing with Captain Danny Barrow. Now, moving further inshore, the bass fishing has been excellent in the Everglades due to the low water levels that have all the fish. They're concentrated in these deeper holes and the canals. Now, we only have a few more weeks before the rainy season begins and the water levels start to rise and these fish start to disperse out of these holes. Captain Tony Fowler, he's been fishing L67 and Sawgrass Recreation Area and having non-stop action on largemouth bass using crankbait and wacky worm. Now, I've never heard of a wacky worm, but he says it's when the hook is rigged in the middle of the worm so it kind of pulls sideways. And that's a new one on me, but they swear it works. There's also been some good peacock bass fishing in the lakes and canals of South Dade. Live minnows have been the most productive bait along with husky jerks and DOA terrorize. Now, the live baits have been working throughout the day. The artificials have been working best in the early mornings and the late afternoons, and Captain Tony's had peacocks up to 7 pounds. Now, I got a picture here. This is Mikey. I didn't get a last name. He was fishing with Captain Tony in the Miami Urban Canal System, and this peacock weighed in at 6 pounds.
Wow,
that's a heck of a nice fish there.
All right,
now,
let's go offshore. Go ahead, Jimbo.
You got it. Sailfish bite has been anywhere from just good to excellent, and it all depends on how much north current there is, and hopefully you got some blue water, and that's been changing every day. Now, the best way to target these sailfish is to first load the live well up with some live herrings, goggle eyes, sardines, or pilchards, hopefully a little bit of everything, and fish them under the kite if there's enough wind, and it looks like there should be enough wind through the weekend, or slow troll these live baits in 100 to 250 feet of water if there's not enough wind. If the water looks better a little further offshore, don't be afraid to try fishing out a little deeper, because we have been finding some edges out a little deeper and seeing free jumpers out deeper also. Now, there have been quite a few free jumping sails, and if you get lined up with them, you get the baits out, there's a good shot at getting bites. The fish have been biting throughout the day, but the early morning and late afternoon bite can be really good this time of year if you can stay out there late. Now, we've also been dropping some live baits down on the wrecks and getting bites from some big amberjack. And right now, most of the wrecks throughout the region in the 180 to 300-foot range have been holding these amberjacks, which have been in the 30 to 50-pound range. Best bait's been a big live blue runner or speedo fished over that wreck, and most likely it won't last too long before it gets eaten when you drop it down there. Pinfish and goggle eyes, they will also work, but the larger baits, they'll definitely get more attention. Also, any of the different types of jigs worked over the wreck will produce. We've been using Williamson vertical and flutter jigs. Now, these big AJs are strong fighters, and they're a lot of fun, especially if you have someone on board that hasn't ever caught a big fish. We've been turning our customers onto them, bending their arms and bending the rods pretty good. Now, if you get lucky, these fish, you can catch them on lighter tackle, 20 pounds or lighter, but then you risk losing those fish in the wreck. So I prefer to use something a little heavier up in the 50-pound range so you can get these fish away from the structure. We've been releasing most of these fish that we're catching. If you're not going to eat them, turn them loose.
All right, great report, Jimbo, from the Captain Harry's region. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the southeast hotspot. Inshore, catch largemouth bass in any of the Everglades canals, fishing with crankbaits, spinnerbaits, and plastic worms. And then offshore, fish live herring or goggle eyes along the edge of the Gulf Stream for a mixed bag of sailfish, mahi, and kingfish, Miss Brie.
Mr. Rick. Well, don't forget to come out and see us at the IGFA in Dania on May 15th. That's going to be lots of fun.
Yes.
Yes. All right, well, stay hooked because when we return, you'll be hearing all about the new hot fishing swag that you'll need out there on the, on the water. And then we'll mosey on over to the Northwest region. All of that and more to come right here on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by the Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. Hookup Lures, premium lures for serious anglers. FWC, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. Guy Harvey, artist, explorer, marine scientist, conservationist, diver, and fisherman. La Jolla Resort, a place for family and fishermen. Maverick Boat Company, makers of premium boat brands, Maverick, Hughes, and Pathfinder. Navionics, we start where the road ends.
It's 200 streamlined horsepower of Yamaha forward thinking. The all-new F200 inline 4-stroke. Whether you're an offshore angler, pontoon cruiser, bay boater, or walleye hunter, the responsive and fuel-efficient F200 combines amazing power and versatility in one incredibly compact and lightweight package. The all-new F200. Legendary Yamaha reliability and the freedom of forward thinking.
You know there's more to it than luck. There's fishing the right bait, the water temperature, the wind, the season, and then there's the boat. We'll put it simply, the boat matters. To own a Contender is to own the best sport fishing boat on the market, period. Contender offers the most comprehensive model range with bigger, faster, and more fuel-efficient boats than the competition. There's only one choice for serious anglers. Contender Boats. Performance through innovation.
Suffix 832 is constructed with 7 strands of Dyneema and a single strand of Gore Performance Fiber. It's the roundest, longest casting line in the world. It offers superior abrasion resistance so you can fish it anywhere. It's the strongest, most sensitive, and durable small diameter braid ever to hit the water. Nice fish, Brett.
Thanks.
Suffix 832. Always use the best line.
Jägermeister Workbench is where new products come to life, Harry. And what kind of new products are we going to give life to tonight?
We got some really good stuff. Let's start off with our Costa, the new Hamlins.
Oh, named after the old famous
Captain Ron Hamlin. Yeah, that guy has caught more sailfish than pretty much anybody over in Central America, pretty much. But what's great about it's got the big lens on the front. It's huge. It's the 580 series.
Right.
Which is the best. Now there's the 580G and the 580 standard. Now the G is for glass.
Right.
The glass, you get better vision with the glass than you do with the plastic. But the plastics are a lot lighter. Glass are a little bit heavier.
Yeah, you
but,
can feel that.
But the glass are a lot more clear, and that 580 what they're using on those things are just incredible.
They're nice.
And as you can see, they cover the whole face really well.
So no light's going to get in as you're trolling or fishing down sea, down sun?
Right, and that's definitely a well-designed pair of glasses right there.
Comes in a variety of different colored lenses, great.
Yep, all different colors, lifetime warranty on that.
Wow.
Which is really good. And yeah, they definitely, dark gray for your offshore guys, the backcountry, your ambers. All that stuff is really good.
Got some new Olakais.
This is a new Olakai here. This is the Kamaki,
yeah,
which is pretty wild. It's a great new shoe. It's non-skid resistant, so you can wear this on the boat, which is fantastic. Very quick drying, very fast.
It's
with
real
the
light
nylon
is
mesh.
what amazed me is
They're
how light
super
it was.
light, and they're very fast dry, which is really good. It's got some drain holes, so when you want to hang them up or whatever, it drains out really well. It's got a nice insole here to take out if you want to dry it a little faster and all that. And it's got the non-skid, like the octopus type deal, so on the toe. So you're not going to be slipping and sliding on the boat, which is very important, as we all know.
For sure.
And to me, having a shoe like this on the boat is great, because I know they make the best sandals out there, but covering up the toes and getting hooks and stuff in your feet, that's the way to prevent that from happening.
Now, you've been in the bottle all night tonight, so tell me about the blue bottle.
Yeah, this stuff is great, man. This really gets you going here. What's great about the new Startron, 1 ounce, just 1 ounce will do 16 gallons on your fuel tank, which is incredible. And then after you do the first shot, you do just 1 ounce will do 8 gallons of fuel, so you don't have to do as much.
You know, the thing that I really liked about it too, when I was reading this stuff here, is you can put it in trucks, chainsaws, generators. The key is that in order to stabilize your fuel, Harry, this stuff will do it to up to 2 years.
2 years, which is incredible. And as we all know, we don't always use our boats. The boat could be sitting for a week or 2 weeks and stuff, and that's the worst thing in the world. So you want to put some of this in your fuel. Every time you fuel up, put some of this stuff in there, because it's just going to help.
Helps remove water. It helps clean your injectors. Keeps your dirty fuel clean.
Ethanol, which is a huge problem now. This stuff helps prevent that, ethanol and everything, which is fantastic.
All right, we got 1 minute. Let's talk a little bit about
this. Is pretty cool. This is the new
rain gear.
AFCO,
just came
waterproof rain gear. Waterproof. And it's a very lightweight waterproof rain gear. It's got the jacket and the bibs, which are really nice. If you want to keep completely dry, this is the ticket right here.
You know what I liked when I was looking at this at the house is that you have the reinforced knees, Harry.
Yep.
Here. So we always seem to bend down and get some out of the contender live well, and the non-skid has a tendency to be pretty hard on rain jackets and rain suits. Also has a zipper that can zip from the bottom up. And we know after being out there, if you can zip your zipper up without having to zip your zipper down, now you can go pee-pee when you gotta go.
It's a lot easier, that's for sure. And if you look at the front of this also, it's completely, when they say waterproof, it's covered. It's got Velcro and the zipper to protect you from getting wet. So it's pretty cool. And it's very fast drying.
Yes.
And it's a great rain gear. And the color, that bright color, so if your wife pushes you overboard, they're going to be able to find you. At least that's what happens with me.
Pretty work. And guess what, guys? All of this stuff can be found at Captain Harry's. If you want, you can, guys, order it right online if you don't live here in South Florida. But I know someone who does live here in South Florida, and that is Miss Brie. So, Miss Brie, what region are we going to next?
Go pee-pee, really, Rick? Gosh.
Oh, yeah, you got to go sometimes. Boys have to go.
All right, so now we're talking with Captain Jeff Hageman over in the Northwest region. And Jeff, remember when we were fishing a few weeks ago, I reeled in a nice-sized snook, and you threw it in my lap, and I bled in 3 places? Remember that?
Yes, I do.
Just kidding.
Flip that in your hand.
You didn't throw it at me, but I do have a nice battle scar on my leg now. What do our viewers need to know about the snook bite this weekend in your region?
Snook can be found in the lower half of our region. With the cooler water up north, you don't find a whole lot of snook up in the northern part of my region, unless they've got some kind of spring that can get to and hide in, or get way back in a creek or a river. But usually the northern part, the southern part of my region is going to hold most of our fish. And snook are very predatory. They're an ambush predator. You want to look for them anywhere where there's good tidal flow. You want to wait for baits. They sit there and wait for baits to come to them on the outgoing and incoming tides. So you want to fish for them around docks, bridges, passes, anything that's got good tidal flow, a little bit deeper depression, like we were fishing that day you were with me, just right on the corner of a sandbar right next to a pass, and that's where those fish are going to hang out. Right now, the fish are all moving out of the backcountry because of the warmer water, and they're starting to come out to the beaches and passes and get around those docks and stuff like I was talking about. So right now, they're on the move. They're in a transition. Baits you want to look for and use right now are sardines, pinfish, grass grunts. They're all favorite baits. You can either free line them or fish them under a float. And if you're not using a circle hook, and we were using them that day, you really want to, if you're having a hard time getting a snook to bite, and you have to downsize your leader, they've got a big gill raker on the side of their face, and they got abrasion when they shake their head and their mouth. They don't have a lot of teeth, but that can fray a leader. So you can go down your leader size if you use a circle hook, because it's going to hook them right in the corner of the mouth. And I've got a picture here of Amanda Gilbert with a nice northwest region snook.
All right, nice.
With me.
Nice snook, beautiful girl. All right, let's go to another species. What do you got for me, buddy?
I got trout. Captain Danny Allen out of Cedar Key reports that the river right now, with all the rain we've been having, has pushed a bunch of fresh water out on the flats. And what this has done is it's darkened up the water a lot. He said it's been a change of pace for anything going out there right now. So you want to throw highly visible baits
And right now, that's been the key with Danny. An orange and gold flake Bass Assassin shad on a 1/4-ounce jig head is a good start. Nice bright bait to get them to see it. And then he's also adding a rattle cork to the top of that and making a popper out of it, so it's getting more attention. Fish right now have been ranging in the high teens to the top of the slot with a few over slot each trip. Also, you want to get out there and change up your retrieve a little bit. With the water being as dark as it is, it's a little bit hard for those fish to find it. So start off with a little faster retrieve. You don't get a lot of bites. Slow it down a little bit until you find out what they like.
All right, Bub, good report inshore. Let's go offshore.
Offshore, Captain Harry Connor of Hookem Harry Charters out of St. Pete's reports a great gag grouper bite right now. There's so many of these fish out there right now, it's ridiculous. The bite's been anywhere from 55 to 75 feet of water over any kind of major relief structure. Ledges, rock piles, any kind of big rock pile out there is holding a lot of fish. Live sardines or live pinfish on a standard bottom rig is doing the trick. He's using anywhere from 80 to 125 pound Suffolk fluorocarbon leader and a 6-ounce to 8-ounce egg sinker with a 5/0 to 8/0 circle hook. Depending on the size of the bait is depending on your hook size. So you don't want to get too big if you got a smaller bait and you're dropping a smaller bait down there. There's a lot of good fish right now, so heavy tackle is a must to keep them from getting rocked up. And if you do get a bunch of fish rocked up, you're going to shut that bite down with grouper. That's a little trick with them. They get down there and they make all kinds of noise and they don't like it and they turn off. Also offshore, the hug bottom in between Homosassa and Anclote right now, and anywhere from 35 feet of water to 55 feet of water, is holding a mixed bag of sea bass, grunts, and hogfish. And the best way to target these guys is you want to take the chum bag, put a weight in it on a rope, drop it down to the bottom to get these fish fired up, and then you want to tie on a chicken rig, which is a multiple hook rig. Use a 1/0 or size 1 circle hook, and you want to have multiple rigs on there, two, 3 hooks at a time, a piece of shrimp and a piece of squid on them, and with just enough lead to get it on the bottom. Especially with the hogfish, you want to use fluorocarbon leader, 25 to 20 pound test leader. And I'm using Suffolk. The stuff works great. It's the same color as the water, so it blends in real good, disappears, and you'll get those picky hogfish to bite. You don't really need a great number to get out there and do it. The public reefs are all holding fish. The hard bottom's all holding fish. So just get out there, mark some stuff on your machine, get the kids out there. It's a great, fun sport to go do with these fish, and it's, you know, you're dropping it down, catching 2 or 3 at a time every time, and they're great fish to eat.
All right, great report from the Yeti Northwest region. Jeff, I'm going to go ahead and get to look at the Drummond Community Bank hotspots from the Northwest region. Captain Jeff says, inshore, the redfish bite on the top of the tide. Look for the schooling fish. Live baits have been working the best. And then offshore, the gag grouper bite has been good in 55 to 75 feet of water over rock piles and ledges. Use hand-sized pinfish for bait. Hand-sized. Hopefully they're not as rough as these.
No, hopefully not.
Or as in bad a shape.
Right. Okay, I know y'all are flopping around in your seats, dying to get out there on the water, but hang on, because when we return, we're checking out the Central East and Northeast regions where it's been a little chilly. So stick around, we'll be right back.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Chevy. Find new roads. Alukai, fit by nature, crafted by hand. Best parts, best prices. Bennett Auto Supply. The Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. Rapala. Catch the latest at rapala.com. Startron. Cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. And Yamaha. Reliability starts here.
his truck, and a very eligible bachelor. And lonely hearts. And romance in the air. And hello, ladies. The new Chevy Silverado Heavy Duties, strong for all the roads ahead.
Continuing the revolution. Faster, drier, even better built. Designed around Yamaha's latest technology outboards. Still built by the same craftsmen and anglers who launched the Bay Boat Revolution. Whether chasing world records, or time on the water with the family, or anything in between, there's a new Pathfinder model for you. Pathfinder, #1 for a reason, still.
I'm Captain Rick Murphy, and I'm a life member of CCA. Why am I so involved with CCA, you ask? Because I want our fisheries to be in better shape for my kids and their kids. CCA is working to ensure the future of recreational fisheries and the rights of recreational anglers. The future of recreational fishing starts today with you. How do you want to leave things for your kids? If you're like me, you'll make the right choice and go to joinccaflorida.com right now. Look what we have here, Brie, the new May issue of Saltwater Sportsman. And look who's in there.
Oh my goodness, that's us.
Miss Brie and Mr. Captain Rick.
Woo!
All right, where are we going?
Okay, let's have a sit down with Captain Jim Ross in the Central East region where the cold hasn't been treating the snook bite so well, right, Jim?
Well, you're right about that, Brie. You know, our snook fishery is normally a very, very good one, especially in the Sebastian area. But, you know, this year it's been open for over a month now, and we really haven't been getting very many fish, at least compared to other years. I believe personally that it's a combination of the cooler water temperatures that we've had this spring, which is kind of creating a lack of bait fish. That seems to be the real reason that we're not doing it. Now, as we progress into the next few weeks, though, we should see that change rapidly with the rising water temperatures, and anglers should start to catch pretty good numbers of snook at the inlets on live pinfish, live pogies, even jumbo shrimp will work really well. And then as they trickle into the backwaters, you know, the rivers from Vero to New Smyrna, we should start seeing them hit soft plastic jerk baits like 4 to 5 inch saltwater assassins, or the Rapala X-Rap plug is a really, really good one as well. Or you can always use a live shrimp or live finger mullet rigged on a 2/0 to 3/0 size VMC circle hook. All of those are going to work really good for the snook. Now, the other species that we have right now that we're kind of losing, actually, is the black drum. We're not losing them. We're just not seeing as many of them, I guess we can say. But the Indian and Banana rivers have been really, really good for the smaller fish in the 3 to 8 pound class, and they've been hanging around mangroves and docks. And any of the man-made canals around Mullet Creek or Satellite Beach or Cocoa Beach seem to be working pretty good. And then the deep cuts from Oak Hill up to New Smyrna are also holding black drum as well. Live or cut shrimp on a small hookup jig head is a really, really deadly way to do that for those smaller drum. Now, the larger drum, you want to look for them out in the open areas, around bridges, around spoil islands adjacent to the ICW channel, throughout this entire region. And those fish are going to be like 15 to 50 pound class fish. Live shrimp on a half to or a quarter to half ounce, depending on how your current is. Jig head, the hookup one is once again one of my preferred ones. You want to rig that with a blue crab, or you can put like a 6/0 to 9/0 size VMC circle hook. That seems to work really good on the larger drum right now as well, around those structures, especially those bridge pilings. Now, I've got a photo here of Georgiana, and she landed a really nice canal drum on a piece of shrimp on a 1/16 ounce chartreuse hookup jig head. It's a really easy rig to use, and it's very, very effective on these small drums.
All right, let's talk about some offshore fishing, Jim. Great inshore report.
We got king mackerel, Rick. They finally showed up. The guys have been going, where are the king mackerel? They finally showed up this week in the Central East region, and we've had some really, really good numbers of fish coming from the 55 to 90-foot depths. Live pogies have showed up as well, but you can also use greenies and mullet if you want to catch some of those. Put them on a wire stinger rig and then go out there and troll around on those reefs and wrecks. Now, the kingfish will also hit lip diving plugs, especially during the early mornings and late afternoon periods. So you want to use like the Rapala CD14 or the CD18 model. Those are standard kingfish issue stuff around here. Or the new Williamson Speed Pro series is a very, very good lure to use as well. And you can also pull those if you're catching tuna and other high-speed type fish, because you can pull them a little faster. Now, the other fish that we've had is last week's theme species, the cobia. We're still catching those here in the Central East region. You want to look for temperature breaks, color changes, and things like that the manta rays are going to be feeding on, because the cobia are not going to be too far behind them. So are the bait fish. So you get manta rays, cobia, bait fish all in the same area, you're going to end up catching some fish. large storm swim baits, 7-inch saltwater assassin jerk shad are really, really good baits, especially if you rig them on a 3/4 to 2-ounce jig head, or if you put a live pogie on a VMC circle hook. You can't go wrong if you find one of those cobia following one of those rays. And I've got a nice photo here of Joe Capuano, who came down and visited and went out with me the other day. He got his limit of 2 fish, doing exactly what we were just talking about, watching the rays swim around, picking the cobia off the rays' backs, throwing live baits and those saltwater assassin jigs. A lot of fun. Joe really enjoyed it, and those Costa del Mars helped him see those fish. So I guarantee if you guys go out and get you some Costas, you're going to see more cobia.
All right, good report from the Central East region, Captain Jim. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hookup hotspots from the Central East region. Inshore, gator-sized speckled trout in the Mosquito Lagoon. Use skid or walk plugs at dawn or dusk near the schools of mullet. And then offshore, sharks along the area beaches. Use large chunks of bonita or barracuda on a standard bottom rig with 270-pound cable leader and a large VMC heavy-duty hook.
So excited about that, aren't
Man,
you?
big sharks. I love catching big sharks, Brie. You don't know. Me and the big shark, we got a thing.
Well, we don't have a thing, so.
You're right. So what about fish dog? You got a thing for that?
Oh, sometimes, if I'm in New Smyrna Beach on May 25th from noon to 4, I do. Make sure you check that out. That's going to be a fun event.
Jeffrey
there.
Page and Russell Theron will be there swinging the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report flags, but we got to go to the Northwest region, speaking of Russell.
Sounds great. Well, you know what? The Northwest region, we have Russell Theron. And Russell, it's a little cold up there, I've been hearing. How are the Snookies doing? Tell us what's going on.
Hey, Bree. Hey, Rick. Hey, how are y'all doing? Well, I tell you what, Bree, let me tell you real quick. I want to tell you, a lot of the single fellas up here that watched you on the show last week, they are absolutely going crazy. They want me to arrange some kind of meet and greet. So stand by when you come up here later on this month.
I'm so excited. You have no idea.
Let me tell you about the snook population. And what we have is a very small population of young snook here in Northeast Florida. Most of the snook are in the southern parts of our region. And catching the snook has really slowed down because of the cold winters that we've had up here in the last few years. If you do happen to catch a snook, be sure to release it and handle them with care. Typical size snook in our area can run anywhere from 22 inches and less, or less than 22 inches. Now, something we are really excited about, that we're really having another good week of the inshore, in our inshore report, are the big black drum. Now, what you want to do is you want to fish the big black drum off the St. Mary's jetties or off of Main Beach here in Fernandina, Nassau Sound, Mayport, St. Augustine Inlet, and the old barge that's just outside from the St. Augustine Pier are also holding giant drum. Some of the best spots to target are the deep washouts at the end of the jetties, or locate a finger next to a deep hole in the river where the big drum will spawn. Some of the best times to fish for the giant drum are during the change of the tide, especially near sunset or sunrise. Now, what you want to do is use a half a blue crab. If you want to tip it with a large shrimp or crab, well, of course, this is called a drum cocktail. The drum are very scent-oriented, and that's why they're using these scents to draw these big guys in. Typical sized big drum can run anywhere from 35 to 65 pounds. I've got a photo sent from my friend Captain Ronnie Foster, better known as the Protocol, and his charter, Jeremy Glisson and Wendy Gaskill and her son Stealth, and they've caught 2 giant drum that they caught just off of Main Beach in Fernandina.
All right, what else you got for me, Russell?
Yes, sir, Rick. Well, Rick, moving offshore. I was listening to Jim's report, and I want to back it up. The cobia are offshore in our artificial reefs and wrecks right now in 100 to 135 foot of water. Now, also, start looking for the cobias in the warmer waters on clear days from Matanzas Inlet heading south to Ponce Inlet as the cobia migrate along with the rays. Some of the best baits to use for the cobia are a live eel, a live blue crab, a live mullet, or, like Jim said, a live pogie. Cobia will also take artificial lures and flies. One of my favorite is a hookup bucktail jig tipped with a grub or with a live bait. Typical cobia, Rick, are running anywhere from 15 to 35 pounds. I've also got a photo here of Tommy Eden and Captain Todd Harris, and they've got a large 70-pound cobia they took off of a reef in 135 foot of water just east of Jacksonville Beach aboard the Huntress.
Wow, that's
Also,
a nice fish. Go ahead, Russell. Tell me about the wahoos.
This is a great time of year to fish and catch wahoo. You know, we don't have a lot of fishing pressure on the ledge, and the water temperatures make for good fishing. The wahoo are coming from the ledge at 160 to 1,000 feet of water. Always keep a lookout for birds and bait. Look for the tide lines, changes in water color, and temperature breaks 74 to 78 degrees. Some of the best wahoo bites are coming from a purple and black sea witch, lure trolled at high speeds. Typical size of these good eating speedsters are going to run anywhere from 20 to 60 pounds. And Rick, I also want to share with everybody, don't forget, this coming Friday night, the CCA in Orlando is having a barbecue April 11th, right there at the Winter Park Civic Center.
That's at 6 p.m., right, Russell?
6 p.m. on Friday evening. That's correct, Rick.
Hey, Russell, I want to ask you something. You know, you guide inshore, so if I were to come up there and fish with you, let's say this weekend, what kind of fishing would you put me on quickly?
Well, Rick, I tell you what, this weekend looks like it's going to be some good because the weather's going to be good. We're right on that transition of throwing top water, but I do want to also get you offshore and take you out behind one of those shrimp boats since you love the shark fish so much.
All right, sounds like a big plan. I'll have to bring Brie and Kathy and the whole dang family, and Will are gonna go ahead and talk to you again next week. Let me go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Northeast region. Inshore, giant black drum on the south end of St. Mary's Jetty during the change of the tide near sunset and sunrise. And then offshore, catch wahoo on the ledge from 60 to 1,000 feet of water. Use purple and black sea witch lures trolled at high speeds.
Guess what?
That's what you do.
That's what I do?
You troll at high speed.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, what great reports we've had so far, but don't you motor off or you'll miss the important conservation minute tip we have for you and the report from the Panhandle region. We'll be right back with a Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Suffix, the world's most hardcore fishing line, Tires Plus, Total Car Care, the IGFA, Conservation Through Education, Get Your Hands Wet, Florida Outdoor Experience, Lumber Rock, Captain Harry's Fishing Supply Company.
Introducing Helmmaster, Yamaha's first fully integrated digital boat control system. With Helmmaster, you can start your outboards with a swipe of a fob and control them with a single lever. Outboard trim and steering friction adjust automatically as you accelerate and decelerate. Adjust engine speed with the touch of a button. The Helmmaster joystick provides the means to navigate and dock precisely with confidence and ease. Take control of your next vessel with Helmmaster at your command.
Fish Dock, the total saltwater experience, returns to New Smyrna Beach this Memorial Day weekend. Bring the whole gang to Riverside Park for an incredible family experience. Tournaments, boat shows, seminars, kids clinics, chowder cook-off, and the Fish Dock 5K Fun Run. Visit fishdock.com to register for the new Bill Fish Open, the Offshore Striker Tournament, or the Redfish Trout Challenge for your chance to win thousands in cash, prizes, and much more. Fish Dock, Memorial Day weekend in New Smyrna Beach. Don't miss this one.
StarTron is a multifunctional fuel additive that uses enzyme technology. StarTron cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. Engines powered by StarTron treated fuel start easily and run smoothly with fewer emissions and better fuel economy. StarTron restores octane to old substandard fuel. StarTron's enzyme formula enhances combustion for a more complete fuel burn. StarTron, it's not the engine, it's the fuel.
Good vibration. It's such a sweet. I do.
The Chevrolet Cruze, loved in 119 countries around the world.
It's such a sweet.
Proof we're not so different after all. It's the new world.
Chances are you spent a lot of time in the outdoors when you were growing up. Hours spent fishing, hunting, camping, hiking, or simply playing in the outdoors helped you get connected with nature. Sadly, today's children are disconnected from nature. They spend nearly 8 hours a day on their computers or watching TV while the number of kids hunting and fishing continues to decline. And that's why the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, together with the Wildlife Foundation of Florida, created the FYCCN, the Florida Youth Conservation Center Network, to encourage kids to participate in the outdoors. A statewide network of conservation centers, the FYCCN features wild outdoor centers offering deep woods experience that connects to near outdoor sites in the communities where kids live. You can help kids learn to love the outdoors and become stewards of our precious outdoor heritage. You can help us create the next generation that cares. Go to fyccn.org to learn more. You know, Brie, the great thing about the FWC's conservation centers that you saw there is how it's so privately funded. And what's so neat about it is if you're a guy that has land that you would like to donate, not necessarily donate it to, but for the use. You have an old tractor that you want to give them, anything. They'll take any of the cool stuff that they can use to help those kids get more exposed to the outdoors. And that's what's so awesome about those youth centers.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
Get those kids fishing. All right, well, normally we have Captain Pat Deneen in the Panhandle region, but today his mate, Mike Mangum, is filling in with all of the info you'll need for a fantastic weekend of fishing. Good to have you, Mike. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you guys for having me again. I like how you said that I'm his mate. That's nice.
Well, you know, like mate on a boat. Like
I tell you, by the look of that photo there, Mike, you looks like you're a member of Duck Dynasty and those boys.
Rick, you're the first person that's ever told me that.
Yeah. All right, so tell me about the fishing in your region. What's going on?
Here you go.
So you guys had snook as the theme species this week, and we don't have cobia. Or I'm sorry, we don't have snook this far north. So I was going to give you guys the update on the Panhandle cobia run.
All right, give it to me.
Yeah, man, we're in the thick of things right now with our season. And as you guys know, the cobia migrate from east to west along our beaches. And we fish for cobia using jigs, live eels, a variety of other live baits, even flies sometimes. But our fish can run up north, up to and north of 100 pounds, and it's pretty typical to see them about 40 to 60 pound range. So we strap up heavy spinning reels on the 50 to 60 pound leaders using the jig baits and the pipe baits. So this past week, we had a really strong increase in the water temperature, and so there's been a good grade of fish swimming down the beach. Lots of big fish, lots of big tournaments going on right now. Multiple fish were caught this week on the Okaloosa and Navarre piers, north of 60 pounds, and in the Harbor Docks World Championship. There was a change in the leaderboard this week with a fish that weighed 83.8 pounds. It's the biggest fish in the tournament. It was called a misbehavior.
Still there, Mike? Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't keep going, bud.
No, we're good, man. We spoke to Eddie Morgan last night from the Harbor Docks World Championships, and he mentioned he had 80 boats sign up, which puts the big fish Calcutta at north of $70,000. So there's a lot of big money going on. We're in the middle of the Harbor Walk Marina Cobia tournament, and that's put on by Destiny Purdue. And one of the coolest tournaments on the coast this year, it's the second year that's happened, is the Beauchamp's Flathead Classic. Beauchamp's is a big restaurant. It's new to Destin. It's the second year that they've held it. And it's a 5-day tournament, the April 22nd through the 26th. The captain's meeting is April 21st. The entry fee for the overall is $500, and if you're 26 and under, there's a $250 entry fee. So it's kind of cool that you don't have to be a big gun to go out there, enter in up against the rest of the guys. It's kind of cool that they offer also a ladies and a daily and a junior division.
All right, tell me about this photo, bud.
Man, this is cool. This is Jake, Tommy, and Blake, some clients from Shallow Water Expeditions, and they caught a 43-pound cobia this week, kind of their first offshore experience, and came out of the pass on the pretty green water, and there she was, and so we got lucky. We got one.
All right, what else you got for me? Some AJs, tell me.
Yeah, man, the AJ bite has been heating up for the last few weeks. As I mentioned, the water temperature warming up, so we've had a lot of fish moving on the wrecks. Generally speaking, the wrecks with the deeper water and the higher relief produce the bigger jack. We've had plenty of fish that are just under the 30-inch keeper mark, but we've had also fish all the way up to 30 pounds. Typically, we like the live bait for these fish using jigs, also with live baits. But if you're jigging, you want to drop the baits all the way down to the bottom and jig up through the school from where you're marking it on your fathometer. If you're using live baits, the best way to do it is a split sinker rig, long leader, circle hook. But my hands down, my favorite way to fish for them is with the fly rod. And this photo that you guys have is one of my clients' close friend, John Watts, and he got a smoker on a fly rod, man. I mean, that was a nice fish.
All right, let's go inshore, Mike.
Cool, man. So the full red fishing is still going strong in the bays and along the beaches. I think Pat reported that last week. If you're on the beaches, the schools of red can be found in the trough, just off the bar. These fish are pretty consistently being caught with jigs and light-colored soft plastics. If the school is high and happy, and they're not, down deep, you can start working topwater baits like a top dog. And I throw a lot of flies at them, big poppers and stuff like that across the top of the school and get them to chase it. Most of these fish are, well over 30 inches. But this week in the bay, both Destin and Mid-Bay bridges have been producing mini slot fish using live shrimp on a slip lead rig on a falling tide. And I've got a picture. Probably, Rick, I know you've got a daughter, probably one of the coolest photos ever. This is Sarah, my 7-year-old daughter, Sarah Mangum, with a,
Wow, that's so adorable, man.
That's
All right.
That's the first one, man. That's her very first play.
That's awesome.
On her own.
Congratulations. Hey, tell me about the trout quickly.
Cool. Saltwater temps, increasing and led to a pretty strong trout bite. Fish are being consistently found through the 3 to 5 feet of water, fishing the grass flats, using soft plastics on a half-ounce big head. Around the docks at night, underneath the dock lights have been awesome too. And you want to fish these jigs a little bit slower to let them get down to the fish. But the fishing's good in the Panhandle. Cobia's great. Everything's good, man. I really appreciate you guys having me, and love filling in for Pat.
All right, just because you're not filling in for Pat every week, make sure you keep sending us those pictures of Sarah and give her a kiss from me and Brie. Congratulations, we really love those pictures. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at the blue water outrigger hotspots from the Panhandle region. Inshore, he says redfish fish the live shrimp under the Destin and Midway Bridge on the fallen tide for those reds. And then offshore, cobia, sight fish for them along the beach, migrating east to west, either by boat or by pier, using either jigs or live baits, as in eels, mullets, or even maybe a pinfish, Brie.
She was so cute.
Oh.
She looked like the bait.
That was probably like you when you was a baby.
All right, well, we've almost come to the end of the line, but stay tuned because coming up, we'll be telling you the highly anticipated theme species for next week. Stay hooked. We'll be right back.
A man and his truck, and tofu, and veggie burgers, and raw kale salads. All fine, just not today.
Whatever you do,
Introducing High Country, the premium Silverado.
do it good.
Silverado, 2014 North American Truck of the Year.
It's 200 streamlined horsepower of Yamaha forward thinking. The all-new F200 inline 4-stroke. Whether you're an offshore angler, pontoon cruiser, bay boater, or walleye hunter, the responsive and fuel-efficient F200 combines amazing power and versatility in one incredibly compact and lightweight package. The all-new F200. Legendary Yamaha reliability and the freedom of forward thinking.
It's been said that a bad day of fishing is better than a good day at the office. But down here in the Florida Keys, we have to disagree. Because with over 200 of the world's best charter boat captains and guides, there's no such thing as a bad day of fishing. The Florida Keys and Key West.
Thanks for tuning in to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter to keep up with all of our captains, contests, and appearances. You don't ever have to miss a show. You can find full episodes of the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report right on your YouTube channel. And don't forget to check out our website for fishing reports in your region. Visit www.ChevyFloridaInsiderFishingReport.com where you'll find everything you need to know to stay connected. Next week on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report, we are talking dolphins, my second favorite, Rick. And make sure to tune in to SunSports every Thursday. Plus, you can catch repeats of the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report on Fridays and Saturdays. Check your local listings for times. So
you know what?
What?
That was a daggum good show.
That was a doggone good show.
That was fun. I had a good time.
Show.
Good job.
Good job.
So,
Harry,
Harry,
good to have you.
Awesome.
What are you doing this weekend?
I am going to actually help some homeless children fishing out of Cape Florida Park.
Oh, awesome.
There's a whole group of kids that are homeless that have had issues at home, and we're going to take them fishing.
Wow,
good.
So that's what I'm doing this weekend.
I'm fishing with Joe Niebuhr and Contender 1 in the Sailfish
good
Tournament.
one.
Big money. Thanks,
Ooh,
Brie.
big money there.
Thank you,
Say
guys.
goodbye to everybody.
Bye-bye.